Hi guys! If you just finished your peer review for Checkpoint 2, you may be wondering what comes next. So we're going to look at our group project for Checkpoint 3. In Checkpoint 3, we have this folder called How to Create a Magazine Article. In your magazine article, the rules are that each team member must contribute their editorial. So at this point, everybody should be done with Checkpoint 2. Which means if your teammate did not complete Checkpoint 2, then they need to make an editorial. Each magazine should have 4 to 5 editorials depending on the number of team members. If you have 4 team members, then you need to have 4 editorials. Make sure that your team members are participating. If they are not participating, you will need to make up for their losses because you're graded as a group. The rules are pretty flexible. I want you to be creative. I want you to be creative, and I want to see your own creativity shine through in this aspect. So the only rules are that you must have APA citations, including in-text citations. If you have an image or a graph, that must also be cited. And I need to see your names on the page, and I need to see the institution name on the page. So what we're going to be creating is something that looks like this. I just made this in a PowerPoint slide. I copy pasted 5 different editorials into this page, and then I formatted it to make it look kind of like a magazine. You notice at the bottom is my name. These are just made up names that are also me. And then Lamar State College Port Author, Biology 1308. I put a random page number just to make it look kind of like a magazine, but you don't have to do that. Again, the formatting is all up to you. You also need to have a fancy title. It doesn't matter what kind of title, what you want to name your group project, but some sort of title identifying this as a magazine article. The first thing that I want you to do when making your editorial is to go back to Checkpoint 2 and go to your editorial. When you click on your editorial, this is the teacher view, so I'm not seeing my own editorial like you will. You will see your own work down here with your peers' comments. Your peers' comments and criticisms should be on the right-hand side. I want you to read those and take them into consideration. You want to edit your editorial. You want to make sure that it is perfect. So if you're being criticized on your APA citations, you need to fix that before you do your magazine. If you're being criticized on your content, then you need to fix that before you make your magazine. If you're being criticized on your transitions, then fix that before you make the magazine. So each team member is responsible for reading their peer review and making corrections. The next thing that we're going to do is we're just going to open a blank PowerPoint slide. I like to use Google Slides because I find them to be very user-friendly. If you want to use PowerPoint, that's great. If you are very talented and you know how to use a graphic design program like Canva, go ahead. It's up to you, but I'm going to show you how to do it in a PowerPoint slide. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start this timer to show you that it's not as complicated as we might think. It's actually not going to take that long. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and go to the page setup. Right now it's at widescreen, which is okay, but I prefer to use book page size. So 17 by 11 is 2 pages side by side, which is what we're going to work with right here. The next thing I'm going to do to make it look kind of like a magazine, I just went to Google and I said blank magazine background, and I found one that I liked. So I'm going to copy that over. I do need to resize it and kind of trim the edges to make it more usable, but we're going to do that right now. All right, and I'm just going to put that in here to take up the whole page. So this is what I'm working with. The next thing that I have is I have my 4 team members' work. All I'm going to do is highlight their work, Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. I'm now going to do team member number 2, Control-C to copy, Control V to paste, but I don't want it on top of the other person, so I'm going to drag it so that it is next to the other person, and I kind of want them to be in line, so I'm going to do that. Next, I need team member number 3's work, and remember, each team member is responsible for contributing their own editorial and making corrections. All right, the last one, team member number 4, copy paste. Now, the work that I'm copying right now is essentially just made up, so don't look at it too closely because I'm just doing this as an example. This would not qualify because these are made up, like I said. All right, where is the line? It should be somewhere around here. Okay, I'm going to press Shift and highlight all 4 of these. Notice how they're perfectly in line, but I don't like the formatting right now. It doesn't look like a magazine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it up a little bit. Magazines generally have this left and right justify, so it's a little bit more spread out. And double spaced is a lot for a magazine, so I'm going to go with 1.15. It's a lot closer together. Now see, it's still hanging off the page. I'm going to expand this to see kind of where everything lies. They're still too big, so I'm going to make it smaller. Now everything fits on the page, but I don't quite like where it is, so I'm going to lower it a little bit. All right, now everything is on the page. It does feel a little crowded to me, so I think I'm going to go down 1 more so that it's not so crowded. All right, I want these to be on this page, and I want these to be kind of at the same level on this page. There we go. I have the beginnings of a magazine article. It kind of looks like a newspaper the way that I have it in columns. If you prefer to organize it real pretty like this in different columns and squares and have borders, I highly suggest that you do that. Make it your own. Make it look beautiful. But for ours, I'm only missing a couple things. I already have a pretty good rough draft here. So what I need next is a title. I'm going to put title and a subtitle here. And this one, I want it to be centered, and I want it to be nice and big, but I don't want it to be Arial. Let's pick Courier New, just for funsies. All right, and I want my subtitle to be a little smaller than my title. And you can make this however you want to. I'm going to put 2 titles on here just because I have the space. Okay, each one of my articles is titled its own title and has its own references. So each article is going to need to have its own reference and its own title, and you can format that however you want to. I'm just trying to quickly slap this together, so I kept the original formatting where I had a bold title and the references are just at the bottom. On this magazine, I spent a little bit more time and I made the title stand out a little bit, and I made the references a little smaller so that they would fit on the page. So keep in mind, this is your project and you can make it as creative as you want. Now, the only thing that I'm missing now is my bottom subtitles, I guess. So I'm going to need to have my name. And then I like to use this to separate names. And I'm just going to write my name 4 times because I have 4 articles. Now, it does not matter where you write your name because you're being graded as a team. So I have my 4 names here, but it doesn't quite match the formatting. So I am going to lower it to a 10 and make it a Courier so that it matches, and we are going to put it down here at the bottom. So this one is down at the bottom. I'm going to copy it and also put it down here on the other page so it looks like a magazine. Now, the last thing that I need to put in here is the name of the institution. So this is kind of like our journal title. We're going to put Lamar State College Port Arthur, if you have room like this, Lamar State College Port Arthur, or we can just put LSCPA, and then we want to put the name of the course, which is Biology 1308. And if you want to, you can add page numbers, or you can put your course like 71 or ECH, whatever it is that you want to do. I'm going to make it the same formatting as this, which is 10 and Times or Courier New, and make sure that it is centered. So I didn't quite have room for that, so I had to change it a little bit, and I'm going to copy paste it and put it on this side as well. All right, so at 7 minutes, I already have a very strong rough draft, and it only took me 7 minutes to make. So you can make your rough draft pretty quickly, but then I want to see your creativity. So if you want to add pictures, just make sure that you cite those pictures. I did not cite pictures in the example here. So just at the bottom here in little bitty font, just tell me where you got that picture from. If it's a Google picture, that's fine. Just tell me the URL that you got it from. Or if it's a picture from your article, then your reference can double as the reference for the image, but you need to tell me where the image or what the image is, like a little image description at the bottom. So this one is going to be a graph of whatever this article is talking about. It's already cited here in the reference, but you need to have the figure, say figure 1.2, and then a description of the figure. So do keep that in mind. Let your creativity shine. Make it your own. It does not have to look like this, but this is a good starting point. Just as long as you have your name, the name of the institution and the course, each team member contributes an editorial, and make sure that it is your final draft of the editorial with all the corrections from your peer review, and your title, okay? You can Google other science magazines as inspiration and see what other science magazines look like and what those articles look like. So this is a science article. It has a nice graphic and then the words over here. You can Google this to get inspiration for your magazine. So here's another one where we can see all the magazines and how they are organized. The last thing that you're going to do is go to File and download it as a PDF. We want to make sure that we download it as a PDF. Do not use ODP or PowerPoint or plain text. It'll change the formatting. You want to make sure that you download it as a PDF. Definitely not an image, because an image will not work in Blackboard. So make sure that you download it as a PDF, and that is what you're going to upload in checkpoint 3, Project Rough Draft. It is called a rough draft because this is going to be your opportunity to make improvements. I will evaluate it, and then you have a few days. This is due November 4th. You have a few days before the final draft is due, November or December 11th. So this should be your final version of your project. If you do really well on your rough draft, then you may just immediately go submit your final project. So it's up to your team. If you need major revisions, that's why the rough draft is available a little bit sooner than the final project. Make sure that you turn this in on time so that you can get feedback in time to turn in your final submission. I hope that this video helps you clarify and understand what is expected of you when you are making your magazine article. It can be as fancy or as simple as you want, but make sure that your creativity shines, and make sure that each team member's names are on the bottom, and that each team member contributes an editorial with an APA citation reference and in-text citations. You want to make sure that you have in-text citations as well.